Zelos is one of my favorite microbrands. I reviewed probably 7 or 8 different models from this brand. However, for about a year, I haven't looked at any Zelos watches. So do they still got it? Is Zelos still Zelos? The model we're reviewing today is actually a model that I haven't reviewed in the past. It's called the Aurora Field. As always, let's begin the review by talking about the case and the case dimensions. It has a 42mm case diameter. It's about 49mm from one lug to another. It has a lug opening of about 22mm and it's about 12.2mm thick. The case and the bracelet are both made out of grade 2 titanium. Titanium has a lot of advantages. It's a lighter material. It also has a more matte look to it. However, the disadvantage of titanium is that it's usually a softer metal. What Zelos did here, they covered it with a hardened coating, which will kind of give this watch the same hardness as a stainless steel case, maybe even slightly harder. In terms of the case construction, it has sort of the 3-step construction. You have the bezel, you have the main portion of the case, and you have the case back. The case back is a screw down type case back, which helps with 200 meters of water resistance that you see on this watch. The main portion of the case has a lot of sharp angles, including these sharp lugs and sharp crown guards. And then you have the bezel itself. It's not a diver style bezel. It's not a turned bezel. Of course, it's a fixed in place bezel, also executed in titanium. And it, of course, has a round shape. So you have sort of different shapes working here together. You have a lot of squared off sharp angles. And then you also have these rounded off edges on the bezel. Kind of an interesting dichotomy of different shapes. I think overall it looks pretty good together and it gives this watch a more interesting look. As far as the crystal goes, it has a flat piece of sapphire crystal with inner AR coating. It's a forged carbon dial with bronze additives, and each dial looks completely different. Each dial is completely unique. Zelos always surprises me with different techniques that they use with their dials, with their cases, with the materials that they use. This one here is something that I've never seen before and actually looks really cool. It is also a stepped dial, so there are many layers to this dial. First, you have the dial itself. It sort of is this disc that is carbon forged and also has a clear coating to give it a slight sheen. Then on top of the dial, you also have 3, 6, 9, and 12 applied indexes. For the rest of the hour indexes, you have cutouts and it sort of acts like a sandwich dial. You have both. You have applied indexes for some of the hour marks, and then you have the cutouts as in sandwich dial for other markings. Looks very interesting. Once again, it's something that I haven't seen in any other watches before. Then you have Zelos logo closer to the 12 o'clock position and a little bit of writing there closer to the 6 o'clock position. Zelos has developed a bit of a reputation for their lume. The lume on this watch is done in 2 different colors. The chapter ring is done in a lighter shade of blue, and then you have the indexes done in a green color. Speaking of the lume, you know what else is loomed on this watch? The little logo on the crown. Do you need that little logo on your crown to be loomed? You don't. But is it cool? Hell yeah, it's cool. I'm really glad that Zelos continues to do this. They're the only company that I know of that actually puts lume on the crown. This model comes in 2 different sizes. It comes in a 38mm size and a 42mm size. The one that I have is of course the 42mm size, and on my 7.5 inches wrist, it actually looks quite large. If you have a bit of a smaller wrist, maybe go for the 38mm version because this watch looks larger than even the 42mm diameter would suggest. Because it's pretty much all dial, the bezel is very minimal. It gives the watch appearance of even a larger watch. You also have these kind of big chunky lugs which add to the massive appearance on the wrist. Don't get me wrong, it's still a comfortable watch because it's made out of titanium and it's fairly thin and under 12.5mm. It's just pretty big, so you do have to have a big wrist to pull it off. You know what Zelos hasn't done yet? They haven't done a Flieger watch yet. And I think this type of case shape would look really cool on a Flieger style watch. Maybe a free idea for Zelos for the future. You're welcome. far as the bracelet goes, it's a pretty good one. You have a dual link design. The bracelet also tapers a little bit, not too much. I think it goes from about 22 millimeters by the lugs to about 20 millimeters by the clasp. It's a hinged first link, which helps with the sizing of this watch. Nevertheless, it's still a big watch on the wrist. I also love the fact that you resize this bracelet by using a little screwdriver and using the screws instead of push-pull style pins. The clasp is pretty good. It's pretty massive. It kind of looks a little bit strange almost on this case because the case itself is so thin that the clasp itself is almost as thick as the case is. Nevertheless, it's a pretty functional clasp because it has this sort of quick micro adjustment feature. You just push on the button at the bottom and you have about 5 or 6 different steps to adjust your clasp on the fly. And it reminds me of a similar sizing mechanism that I've seen on Omega Ultra Deep that I recently reviewed. Of course, that watch is multiple times the price of this one. The watch is powered by the Miyota Caliber 9039 automatic movement. It's essentially a 9015 without the date complication. For a watch under $500, these Miyota movements are a good call. They have 24 joules, they beat at 28,800 vibrations per hour, and they have a 42-hour power reserve. So overall, I think the watch offers a lot of value for $460 US launch price. Something that I usually don't talk about when I review watches is the packaging. This watch comes with a travel case. It's a leather watch roll with 3 different slots that I would estimate probably cost you about $35 to $50 to buy if you were to just buy it out. Now, in terms of the negatives, as I mentioned, the watch is a bit on the bigger side. Luckily, there are 2 different versions available, so you could go for the smaller version. And also, in terms of the quality, it is all there. It does look and feel pretty good. And for under $500, it feels great. However, don't expect too much. Don't expect this watch to compete with your $1,000, $2,000 timepieces. I like what they're offering here. I like that they keep on innovating with their dials and their cases and their different shapes and different watches that they offer. And I'm excited to see what else they come up with in the future. But hey, those were just my thoughts. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about this field watch. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Also, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And we'll see you next time. Bye.